Come on! Unity is a web series filmed and edited by Emily Jansen as she lives in her vehicle, traveling the United States and documenting the many other types of alternative living, exposing audiences to the growing change in perspective and lifestyle for a common unity.
Arcology is architecture plus ecology. And Arcosanti is the name of this city, and Cosanti is Latin and it means before things. And so Cosanti was Paolo's original space in Scottsdale, Arizona, and that's where he started prototyping different design principles and form principles. And so once he got enough money together by lecturing throughout the world on this idea of a kind of city that would aid in the evolution of man, then he purchased this property and decided to build the prototype arcology here. And this arcology is called Arcosanti. Soleri thought that cars increased isolation and feelings of desolation in people. So he wanted to build a city more like an organism, build it tight and small, where the synapses only needed to fire a little bit from one side to the other in order to create a dynamic relationship and growth between those two synapses. So Arcosanti is built very tight and small. People have enough space, but it's what we would call a frugal amount of space compared to the average suburban United States home of today. It's not a new concept. Lots of European cities are built this way. The idea is born from, we only have so much space. Here in America, especially in Arizona, being one of the younger states, it feels like we have a vast expanse of space. But it's important to preserve that space for the sake of the space, for the sake of the creatures who have come before, and for the sake of all of our future generations. Because if we continue to expand in this model of outward people moving away from the city in order to get their own space, in order to get into nature, that will just expand and expand and expand until we don't have any more space for nature left. So the main source of income for this city is the wind bells. So we have ceramic bells and bronze bells. And these were a creation of Soleri based on his previous work as an architect. Also, the bronze bells are really generating the primary income because they're just a more expensive material. So artisans get a chance to work within Soleri's ideas and Soleri's designs, but also have their own unique creative aspect of the actual designs that are put in the forms of the bell that Soleri designed. And so everyone feels like they're really a part of his artistic vision by contributing the work to these bells. And then people come to Arcosanti and they really get behind the idea of arcologies. But we don't have a lot of takeaway for that idea. People can hold that in their minds, and then they can even come as far as to become a part of this project by living here someday, or adding their other kinds of resources. But a lot of the times people are already settled in their lives where they are, and they want to be able to contribute something, and so buying a bell and then hanging it can be a symbol of this idea of arcology living on even among the kinds of lives that people have that don't really fall into this arcological type idea. I didn't know what it was like to live not in a city. This is the first community, really, that I've lived in. And it's funny because this community is rather intentional, but it was never designed as such. So Larry was really emphatic about saying, we're not designing a community, we're designing a city. We're designing the city as the instrument, and then the people will make the music. The pros of living in community is really a felt sense in my body of connection, of being able to express myself dynamically and be seen and heard, and also to actualize projects, ideas. And then that's sort of the positive side, and then we tend to think of other halves of our emotions as negative, like the sadness or anxiety, things like that. But all of these can also be expressed so much more honestly and quickly with a community that is repeated, that you see every day. You develop these very intense relationships with people when you have so much time together, but you also have enough space to go to your own place when you need to decompress. And something about, instead of putting your presence out in some kind of digital way in order to hope to be seen, we are already seen by simply walking through our city or having these kinds of meetings. And then being able to interact with the structure of the city in terms of the social structure, so the government of the community aspects. And if you want to see something in your city that you don't see, you can create that. There's an energy around creation in community that's really facilitating for bringing new creative children into the world. I think the major con is that we're not taught how to live in community, not really. As children, we learn to dissociate from a lot of our feelings and a lot of our needs and a lot of our impulses. So I think we come together and then find it's rather intense to truly be honest with ourselves and to work in collaboration. So the cons are that we're not prepared for this kind of living, even though we're hardwired for it. Clearly, the way that modern life is going is totally unsustainable. Water, energy, space. But really, I think internally, the way that we've been going as a civilization is unsustainable. The soul is neglected in the way that people live isolated and apart from each other, the way that people can make actions that truly harm themselves, the future generations, and the environment without feeling that impact. And I truly believe that if people felt that impact, then they would change, because nobody wants to destroy. Everybody wants to create and to nurture. So in a city like this, in an environment that's this small, when you haul your own trash, for example, it's a small example, but it's relevant. When something falls on the ground, instead of just watching it blow away and think, oh, someone else will take care of that, you are the steward of your community. You are the steward of your city. And so it falls on you to claim that responsibility for your own space and your own actions, and then pick that up. And it's the same on a social level. So without a whole lot of the distractions of modern city life with billboards and buying a bunch of things, you start to really get in touch with what are the deep needs that are being unmet in myself, for my heart, for my mind, for my body, and combined for my soul, for my essence. So taking responsibility for that is much more possible for me in a city like this, an environment like this. I would say the majority of people feel an unrest, an uneasiness about their lives. They sense that what they've been sold is empty. And to cash in on what life truly has to offer, I really think that the first step is to recognize that there is more. And then reaching out. There's a lot of directories of communities, of intentional communities. There are websites, there are books, there are interviews and documentaries like this. So if you see something that sparks your interest, believe that you can go and be a part of that. And the more people that unplug from the system, the more powerful what we're building apart from the system will be.